Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Simple Stories in English. I love where I live. I have a beautiful house in a small town in western Colorado. I have lived in 3 houses in this town over the last 19 years. And in this episode, I will describe those houses. Continuing with this season of personal stories, this episode explores the question, where do I live? Where do I live? The quick answer is that I live in a house in Colorado. Colorado is a state in the western United States, and I live on the west side of the state in the Rocky Mountains. I am not from Colorado. I was born and raised in Minnesota, a central northern state. However, I have lived in Colorado for 19 years. All that time, I have lived in the same small town, although I have lived in 3 different houses. My first house in Colorado was old and small. It only had 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a long living room and a kitchen. It also had a small, scary basement. It didn't have a big yard, and it didn't have a garage. I lived in that house for 6 years. Overall, I liked the house. It had big windows. It had a pretty view from the front porch. It was a historic house. I had kind neighbors. It was close to the library, post office, bank, and supermarket. But it was small, and the street in front of the house was very busy. When my older son was 1 year old, we moved to the country. We were still near town, but we had more space. We had an enormous yard with space for animals and a garden. The house was bigger too. Instead of only 2 bedrooms, there were 4. And there were 3 bathrooms. We decided to use one of the bedrooms as an office, but the office was always disorganized. So I used a space in my bedroom to make my podcast. The house also had a big living room, a formal dining room, a kitchen, and a space in the kitchen for eating. It had a 2-car garage, but that wasn't enough space for all our projects, so we built a large garage separate from the house to work on vehicles. One thing I didn't like about that house was there weren't many windows. I like to look at nature, and I like to have natural light in my house. Additionally, I like to have the option of opening windows and having fresh air in the house, especially when the weather outside is perfect. But that house didn't have many windows. As a matter of fact, in the whole house, there were only 8 windows. 2 of the windows were big, and there were 2 additional doors that had windows. But for such a big house, it didn't have enough windows. When I got divorced, we had to sell the house in the country. When I was looking for a new place to live, I wanted several things. First, I wanted a house with windows and natural light. I wanted at least 3 bedrooms. I wanted space for my 2 sons and their friends. I wanted space to make my podcast. I wanted a garage. I wanted a basement. I wanted a yard, but not too big of a yard. I wanted a calm place to relax in my yard. And I wanted to live in the same town. There were not many options in the town in my price range. Many desirable houses cost $500,000 or more. That's $500,000. I am only a teacher, and I don't have that kind of money. I checked available houses in my area religiously, and one day I saw my house in my price range. I bought the house, and it is practically perfect. I wanted a house with windows, and my house has 17 windows. The view from my windows is incredible. One fantastic thing about my windows is that they are on the north and south sides of the house. So there is a lot of natural light, but they don't cause a lot of heat in the house during the hot summer months. I wanted a house with at least 3 bedrooms. Well, my house has 4 bedrooms. There is a big bedroom for me, a medium bedroom for each of my sons, and an extra bedroom. Right now, the extra bedroom is a craft room full of books, engineering kits, art supplies, and my yarn. I wanted a space for my sons and their friends. My sons picked their bedrooms, and they are very happy to have their own bedroom. They don't have to share. They decorated their bedrooms. My older son collects bison. He has a bison wall hanging, a bison painting, bison figurines, and stuffed bison. He also has a poster of the painter Bob Ross. My younger son is very interested in space and has the planets hanging from his ceiling. He also likes Harry Potter and has a collection of Harry Potter Lego sets on his bookshelf. I wanted a finished basement to have more space for my sons. I like basements. I like the space for storing decorations and food. I like the extra space for the kids to play. And I like that they are cool in the summer. Unfortunately, my house does not have a basement. Basements are not very common here in Colorado. It isn't horrible that there is no basement because there is space in the garage for the decorations, and there is space in the kitchen for the food. But I have to be creative with the extra space for my sons and their friends. My house has a formal dining room, but it also has space in the kitchen to eat. Since I don't need a formal dining room and I wanted more space for my kids, we decided to turn the dining room into a Lego room. My sons and I have a lot of Legos. We love Legos. We have Harry Potter Legos, a lot of vehicles, city buildings and houses, and many original constructions. We built a Lego city in the center of the room. My sons play with Lego with me and with their friends. My younger son even makes stop-motion Lego movies in the Lego city. I wanted a house with a garage, and my house has a garage. I am happy I can park my car in the garage, especially when it snows. I wanted a yard, but not a huge yard. And I have a perfect yard. There is green grass in the front of the house and a patio in the back. I wanted a calm space in the yard to relax. And one thing I love about my house is that there aren't other houses behind me. I only have 2 neighbors. When I am on my patio, I don't see my neighbors' houses. I see rocks, trees, and animals like squirrels, bunnies, and even deer. It is very relaxing and pretty. I wanted a space to make my podcast in my house. I still don't have the perfect space, but this white wall in my bedroom works just fine. Maybe someday I will clean up the craft room and make it into a podcast studio. My home is not perfect, but I like it a lot. I like the layout and the natural light. I like the blue cabinets in the kitchen and big countertops. I like the gray wood floor that is easy to clean. I like where my house is located because I am in town, but I have a lot of privacy. I believe I am where I need to be. What is your house like? Do you have a lot of windows? Do you have a yard or garden? Where do you live?
The end.
Thank you so much for listening. You can find a transcript of today's story, as well as other simple stories in English, by clicking on the link to my blog in the show notes. You can also support the creation of this podcast by donating through Buy Me a Coffee, Venmo, or PayPal. I appreciate all the support, as this entire show is produced, edited, created, everything by me. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and remember you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and my blog at Small Town Spanish Teacher. See you soon! You can find a transcript of today's story, as well as other stories and learning and teaching aids, on my website, smalltownspanishteacher.com. This story was an original work by Camilla Given. Any resemblance to stories by other authors is purely coincidental, unless otherwise noted. If you have an idea for a story or a story you would like read, feel free to email me at smalltownspanishteacher@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified of future episodes of Simple Stories in English.